All right, so let's get right into it. If you're leading a small team, you've definitely felt this tension. It's this constant balancing act, a challenge that pretty much every founder and manager wrestles with.
And that brings us to the big question, right? How do you get the results you need? How do you make sure things are getting done right without just hovering over everyone's shoulder and sucking the life out of the room? It's a really, really fine line to walk. So this is the fundamental dilemma for any leader. Go too far one way and you get micromanagement, which absolutely crushes initiative. It basically screams, I don't trust you. But go too far the other way with no structure at all and you kill accountability. Suddenly deadlines are suggestions, standards drop, and nobody really owns anything.
So, what's the big deal if we get this balance wrong? Well, the price you pay, whether it's from too much control or just plain neglect, is huge. Let's break down the real hidden costs of getting this wrong.
And you know, there's some serious research on this. The Harvard Business Review is crystal clear. When you're constantly looking over your team's shoulder, you're not leading. You're signaling that you don't trust them. And that feeling? It directly causes both their engagement and their actual performance to nosedive. Just think about the psychology of it for a second. When people feel like they're being monitored instead of empowered, they stop taking risks. Creativity just dries up. And even worse, they become totally dependent on you for every little thing, which turns you, the leader, into a bottleneck that just slows everything down. Now here's the other side of that coin, neglect. Gallup found this incredible stat. Employees who don't feel like they're getting recognized for their hard work are twice as likely to say they're planning to quit within the next year. That is a massive, often invisible talent drain.
And look, this isn't just about feelings or morale. There's a real, tangible business cost here. As you can see, when oversight goes past a certain point, you get a direct, measurable drop in engagement and productivity. It's kind of crazy, right? You put in more effort to control things, and you actually get worse results.
So, how do we fix this? Well, the answer isn't as simple as just stop micromanaging. You have to replace the old way with a better system. And that's where something called the autonomy framework comes in. It's all about creating a structure where accountability just happens naturally.
This really means we have to rethink what being a leader is all about. It's not about being a controller, a taskmaster. Real leadership is about being an architect. You're designing a system where performance is easy to measure, expectations are crystal clear, and people just naturally take ownership of their work. So here's the playbook, the 4 key steps. First, you define the outcomes you want, not the specific activities. Second, you track the metrics that matter, the KPIs, not just people's movements. Third, you hold structured, regular check-ins instead of constant pings and interruptions. And finally, you build a culture of ownership, where people feel responsible for the results, not just for ticking off a task. And the data on this is overwhelming. McKinsey found that teams who are given the autonomy and trust to make their own decisions don't just do a little better, they consistently and significantly outperform teams that are tightly controlled. The lesson? You actually get better results by letting go.
Okay, but having a great system is only half the battle. You've got to fuel that system with the right kind of culture. And this is where the second crucial piece of the puzzle comes in, the amazing power of recognition.
The hard truth is that most workplaces are terrible at this. According to Gallup, a staggering 2/3 of American workers feel like they haven't gotten any recognition for good work in the last week. That's a huge missed opportunity for leaders everywhere.
But here's what's really fascinating. Who gives the praise that people actually remember? Your direct manager is number one, sure. But look at who's right behind them, a CEO or another high-level leader. Think about that. A few sincere words from someone at the top can literally be a career highlight for an employee.
And what actually sticks with people? It's not always about the money. Public praise, a simple private thank you from a boss, a promotion that shows real trust, these are all things that people find incredibly memorable. The key is that it has to be genuine. So the takeaway here is all about frequency. For recognition to really work its magic, it can't be some once-a-year thing at the holiday party. Gallup's research shows it needs to happen at least once every 7 days. That consistency is what reinforces good work and keeps the team's engine running. So let's tie all this together. Putting this playbook into action really requires a fundamental shift in your mindset. It's about seeing your role not as a controller of tasks, but as a developer of people. I just love this quote because it cuts right to the heart of it. That urge to control every little detail, It's often not about standards, it's about a leader's own insecurity. Real confidence is trusting the system you've built and, more importantly, trusting the people you've hired to do their jobs.
At the end of the day, it really comes down to this. Great leaders don't have to force accountability, they create it. They do it by building a smart system that provides clarity, and then they foster a culture of recognition that provides motivation. And when you get those two things right, high performance just becomes the default setting for your team.
So I'll leave you with a final question to think about. When you look at your own actions, at how you manage your team every day, you have to ask yourself honestly, are you building a team that's completely dependent on you? Or are you actually developing the next generation of leaders?